around 1984, we became aware that the Agassiz CPR station would be demolished. At that time, CPR was getting rid of a lot of their old stations. So we lobbied CPR to sell it to us for $1, which they readily agreed to do as long as we moved it off the site. So we negotiated with the research station for a lease of a piece of land to move it onto. So in 1985, Marnie Pickard and Carol Law and myself worked on one of the first grants that the Society got to employ people. So we were given an office, rent-free, in the downstairs part of the municipal hall, out of which we worked and we planned on the move and the stabilization of this CPR building to become our museum. Also did a bit of collection work and welcomed visitors to this little tiny one-room museum in the basement of the municipal hall.
It's interesting how you eventually had the museum where it is in the CPR station, which you had moved, but that the CPR station itself is a museum piece.
It certainly is. The building itself is a historic building. That's why we try to take, special care of it. Talking about moving it, it was the coldest day of the year in November of 1985 when Nickel Brothers showed up early in the morning with all their huge house-moving equipment and lifted the museum up with their hydraulic jacks, adjusted the wheel system under everything, and towed the whole thing across the CPR mainline tracks and across the solidly frozen field to the research center. They moved the huge building all in one piece, and with the only damage being that I can remember were some slight cracks inside in the lath and plaster walls.
Mm-hmm.
But can you imagine CPR closed that main line of tracks to all trains and gave us, and of course Nickel Brothers, a 3-hour window to move that behemoth, great big building across the tracks.
Now, in the memories book, it mentions the road highway closure, but they didn't really need all that time. Wasn't it about 45 minutes to move it?
Yep, it went really well. The Agassiz winter's east wind was howling that day the way it can at its top level. And I remember tears freezing on my cheek and was sure the whole thing would crumple to a pile in the middle of the tracks. But Nickel Brothers were terrific and got the job done quickly with no major issues, and they were and they are real professionals for sure. And most of the town turned out to see the building move, but they all sat in their cars with their heaters cranked right up to try and keep warm. So I can close my eyes and see the whole thing playing in front of me to this day.
Wow.
So after the station was moved, of course, we hired carpenters, and we also had lots and lots of volunteers. Stabilized the building and rewired it and did the plumbing and painting, and we worked for months to get it ready because the next spring was Expo 86, and we did have it open for that. So the building is now our grand little Agassiz Harrison Museum and Visitors Information Center, of course, and it runs with one paid employee and a small army of volunteers. So then a few years ago, the whole moving business of the museum reversed as the local government of the day decided that the museum should really be situated close to where it originally was and anchor that end of Pioneer Park. So once again, Nickel Brothers came out and moved the whole thing back to the west corner of Pioneer Park. And the Heritage Society was fully supportive of this move. It had been the best move ever for us. The museum, which I've been involved with one way or the other for nigh on to 40 years now, is certainly a tribute to thousands of volunteer hours and many dedicated people who truly value our community's heritage